Welcome back to the Maven Show. This is your host Rohit. Today we have David, the creative partner at the Prepared Group and the podcast host. Thank you, David, for getting into the show.
Hey, Rui, thanks so much for inviting me on. I really appreciate it.
So we will be talking about a bunch of things today regarding the creative strategy and how the term strategy is misunderstood, by the way. So would you just like to give a quick overview of yours, how you got started in business and how you came into the consulting and advisory?
Oh, absolutely. So I have been a professional marketer in one way or another since the mid 1990s. In fact, I started doing email marketing back in 1996, back when people still opened every single email that they received. And that was a good time to be a marketer. But I have been providing marketing services for small and mid-sized businesses since around 2010. And along the way, one of the things that I discovered was a lot of the things I was being engaged to do on behalf of businesses were not necessarily well aligned with what their goals were. But because a lot of businesses focus very much tactically on the business growth activities, the marketing activities that they want to engage in, um, and my counsel to suggest, hey, maybe we should take a step back and look at what you're trying to address was not always met all that well by a lot of my clients, because I was for most of that time a Facebook advertising agency. They didn't think that I could help them beyond running ads on Facebook, and so I realized, gosh, I better change something about the way I'm perceived by businesses in order to help them more effectively. And that's really how I got into the role of marketing strategy consultant.
And what would you like to speak about the principles of marketing foundation, which every businesses should know?
Yeah, this is really the point that I was just mentioning a moment ago. Is a lot of the way that business owners, and I'm talking in the small business space for the most part, where it's the business owner or somebody on their staff is tasked with having to figure out what to do to get the phone ringing, get people coming in the front door, get people visiting the website. However, they need to initially engage with a prospect. A lot of the way that they have been taught or what they've witnessed about marketing has everything to do with a tactical approach. And, to a certain extent, we marketers, and I'm pointing at you and me, are guilty of talking about tactics a lot more frequently than we talk about a strategic approach to marketing. And that's where I think we've gotten a lot of businesses into trouble, because they're spending money, they're spending time on marketing activities that are not necessarily appropriate or aligned with what they ought to be doing, given what their real goals are, or they've never even thought about what their goals are. They're just in it for, what do I get out of putting some money into the slot machine today and hoping I'm going to get, some new business out of it. Yeah. And so that's really where I would start. Is there's a foundational piece that's missing from the way that most businesses, and this is regardless of size, from a small locally focused business to a enterprise level business, there's a lack of strategic thinking when it comes to a lot of the marketing activity that they engage in.
So, according to you, what's the purpose of marketing in business?
The purpose of marketing, I think, is very much to drive revenue into a business. That's the ultimate goal, right? If we want to get people filling out forms on a website, downloading a lead magnet, well, there's an end goal there, right? Yeah. We want to ultimately engage them in some form of transaction. If we want to get, somebody playing with some interactive thing that we've posted on social media, or we want them to download an app to engage with our, our brand, like playing a little video game that some big beer company has produced for people to screw around with in their free time online. Well, it's not just so that they're having fun, it's so that they ultimately will go and remember, oh, I loved that fun game that I was playing that on the Heineken app. Let me go have a Heineken. So ultimately, the goal of marketing is to drive revenue into the businesses that are doing the marketing. But that really then begs the question, well, what is marketing? And it's not necessarily just advertising to say, hey, I got this thing that I have to offer, or I have this solution to your problem, or I have this opportunity to put in front of you to fulfill a desire that you have. It's so much more of the engagement, well beyond the ads, that a business has with a prospective and or existing customer.
What do you think about the ROI in the marketing? Like what the business should be spending and how much the business should be expecting in revenue? Like what the percentage?
Yeah, so the return on investment in terms of a percentage is going to be all over the place depending on how we define what marketing activity we're talking about, right? And so if you step back to the point I was making a moment ago, marketing could be something that you could easily point to. Okay, I'm putting dollars in, or I'm putting whatever your currency is into an advertising campaign, or into paying a search engine optimization service provider to get me found higher in the search results, or any number of other things that you're actually spending money on. But it's not as easy to measure the money around things like nurturing prospects who have expressed an interest in your business but are not ready to buy right now. It's not as easy to measure things like effective onboarding of a new customer, a new client. It's not as easy to measure things like programmatically over delivering, creating great customer experience, surprise, delight, wow, things that are going to translate into somebody who says, I just have a really good feeling about my relationship with this company, and therefore I'm going to spend more money with them. So can you see how it can be a little tricky to answer the question, what's a good percentage for return on investment?
And according to you, like how to fit a particular tactic into the business, like whatever the business we are doing, how to fit a particular strategy or tactic into specific business.
Sure. So I think that really we need to define the difference between strategy and tactic. Okay.
Right.
And that's going to be the first place to go with this question, because a strategy is really the means by which you move a business from where it currently is, okay, to where it wants to go. So if I look at a business that is aiming to, I'm going to give you an example of a goal here, aiming to expand its staff, because right now it has a small staff of 7 people. They are overworked with too much demand from their customers, and they would really love to expand to be able to bring in 3 more people to reduce the workload for the people who are in the business. Okay, that's a goal. All right. Well, what's that going to take? Let's translate that into the money piece. Okay, we need to hit this much money. How are we going to do that? Well, we can sell more of the products or services that sell well but have a low margin for us, and therefore we have to sell a lot of that. Or we sell more of the thing that has the highest margin, for which we have to sell less. Great. Let's do the easier one, selling less of something that has a higher margin. Okay. then who's going to be most likely to buy that? Okay, you got to figure this piece out. All right, now that we figured out what's the best way to get in front of them. Now we're talking about where the tactics come in, because we know what we're actually aiming to do in our revenue growth to hit the goal we want in the easiest way, or the way that we've decided is the path that we want to choose to be able to hit that goal. So again, the difference between strategy, which is the overarching, how do we get from where we are to where we want to go, is ultimately comprised of tactics, but the tactics can't be decided on until you really have sort of thought through the process of what are the different ways to get there, and which is the best way for us given our circumstances, given the internal, environmental concerns, external environmental concerns, of the market, etc.
Cool. So, and lastly, like how you would like to define the term strategy, which is obviously misunderstood at this time.
Yeah.
In long version.
Right. So I think I gave you the general definition, but what I will say about this is that the words tactic and strategy are used inappropriately interchangeably. And so when I hear a fellow marketer talking to me about the Facebook strategy that they have, well, yes, they're talking about the strategy within the tactic of Facebook to use that platform effectively. But what they often mean is the tactic, not the strategy.
Yep.
And so having a clear understanding of the definition of these two words is, I think, important, an important starting place, because as I explained in the scenario that I just gave a moment ago about sort of how do you arrive at the right tactic, understanding that you need to, no, I say you need to, you have the opportunity to make a strategic decision about something that you're going to do in your business, which is more broadly informed. It gives a business and a marketer the chance to sort of think through different scenarios, figure out the best way to achieve a particular goal, right? That's a strategic approach. A tactical approach is when a business owner says, wakes up and says, I need more customers. What am I going to do for marketing? And then they point at a specific tactic. Oh, my nephew told me TikTok is really cool right now. Maybe I should get on TikTok and start making dancing videos so that I can get more people coming to visit my business. And that, for me, is, well, it's idiotic, but it's also ill-informed. It's not taking the right approach to actually achieve the outcome they need.
Simple and straight.
I would hope so. And I would simply hasten to add that it makes a lot of sense when you stop and sort of talk through this and think about it. But for a lot of business owners and a lot of us marketers, it makes sense, and yet we still act in a way that doesn't really make as much financial or strategic sense for a business. And so simply, stepping back, understanding, gosh, am I going to waste more time, more energy, more money on tactics simply because I'm throwing ideas at the wall? Or am I going to invest the necessary time to really think about what I'm doing in my business, what I'm trying to achieve, and work through a strategic planning process to generate revenue in a way that makes better sense for my business? That's really the point that I hope your listeners will come away with.
Got it. Cool. And any best advice at the end you would like to give to any small business owners to get started with the marketing the right way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my little lecture there, my little rant, is the beginning of it. But then how do you do that? And so I think it's important to understand that within your relationship with the people you're serving, whether you're a business to consumer or a business to business model, that there's opportunity to demonstrate um, a strategic approach to driving revenue at every point along the way of the relationship, from somebody who you've deciding, okay, who am I trying to serve in the first place? Can I narrow that down? Can I be more effective at articulating who I'm for and who I'm not for? The better you are at doing that, the more effectively you're going to be able to dial in the right strategic approach. Are you capturing the right information from people who raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested, right? Are you getting their contact information to follow up with them? Are you nurturing that relationship, both for the people who are ready to buy right now, and this is where a lot of businesses make a mistake, for all the people who are going to be ready sometime in the future, but they're not ready right now, right? Do you have a mechanism that is built to be able to convert that person from a prospect into a customer in a meaningful way?
Yep.
Do you have the mechanism to onboard them effectively so that they love the business that you run and are going to be with you as a returning customer for a long time? And
Yeah.
how can you build on that by creating a experiential surprise, delight, and wow for them? Do you have programmed into your business means by which you can point to the next buying opportunity for them, right? If they love you so much, they're going to want to say, what else do you have for me? Well, do you have a mechanism to internally market to the people that you're already serving to bring in more money? And most importantly, do you have a way to take those hyper enthusiastic customers and extract referrals from them? The probably least expensive way of getting new business in the door is by getting people who already know and love you to tell others about your business. And so if you just work through that framework that I've just outlined there as a business, well, that's suddenly going to give you the opportunity to be thinking a lot more strategically about how to drive revenue.
Got it. Cool, David. It was great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for getting into the show and sharing these bunch of insights regarding the business, regarding the strategy, the term strategy, the difference between tactic and strategy, And it was amazing to have you into the show.
Rohit, thank you so very much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and I always enjoy an opportunity to rant on this subject.
Amazing. Thanks.